What's up guys, Jesse here. So first of all, new mic. It is a shotgun mic, so I can actually have it out of the frame. So now I have all the space to move my arms around. So I am super excited about that, and let me know what you guys think about the new audio. But today's video is not about the mic, but it is about what I'm sitting on, and that is the Herman Miller x Logitech Embody gaming chair. Now, before you guys click away, let me make a case for why you should care about this chair. So if you guys don't already know about Herman Miller, they are one of the best ergonomics brands out there. They are responsible for making the Cubicle, which you may or may not be thankful for, and they also created the Aeron, which is, I think, the only chair that has a spot in the New York City Museum of Modern Art. So clearly these guys know what they're doing when it comes to chairs. And Logitech, we all know who they are. They are one of the biggest tech peripheral companies out there, and they also happen to have a gaming division called Logitech G. So the two companies have come together to create a gaming version of their already popular Embody office chair. And to be totally honest, this gaming version of the chair is like 95% the same as the regular version. But that's actually a good thing, because this chair is like 9,000 times better than those racing style chairs that have become so popular among gamers. But before we really dive into this video, I just want to say that I've only had this chair for a couple of days, and more testing is definitely going to be needed. So if there's anything you guys want to know about this chair that I don't cover now, let me know in the comment section down below. And then once I do an update video, a couple of months, maybe a year down the line, I'll be able to answer those. So with that out of the way, let's start this off by talking about how this gaming version of the Embody differs from the normal one. And it's basically just two things: the fabric and the foam. So they've got their Sync fabric on here, which is actually their higher end fabric if you try to option it out on the regular version. And so far, I really like it. It's 100% polyester, and it's tested for abrasion, seam strength, color retention, UV light resistance, and get this, fire resistance. Like, how many chairs can you say that about? The main difference with this gaming version though are these embossed gamery looking lines. Personally, I probably could have done without that, but if you're into that gamer aesthetic, then, it'll probably help it fit better into your setup. They're also not uncomfortable. You really can't feel them at all, so, I'm fine with it. So the other thing that makes this gaming version of the Embody a little bit different from the normal version is the foam that they've added to the bottom as well as the backrest of this chair. Now, Herman Miller claims to have added this because while you're gaming, you're in a more upright position than you would be if you were just doing office work, and the addition of this foam just helps with supporting you while you're in that position. They've also infused this foam with copper, which is supposed to help with heat dissipation because gaming can get pretty intense and your body will heat up. And I wouldn't say that this chair is hot, but it's also not cool either. Like, it's definitely better than traditional leather or foam padded chairs, but it's also not as cool as like a mesh chair. And over longer sitting sessions, I still tended to get pretty hot. And as for the support aspect, I'm not really sure how much of that is true because the foam is just so thin. I have a hard time imagining that it really does all that much. But I'm not trying to say that this chair is uncomfortable because it still has all of that stuff from the regular Embody that made that chair so great. Like, for example, I really like how the Embody has all of the adjustments that you need while not making it overcomplicated. Like with a lot of other high-end chairs, they just give you way too many knobs, dials, and levers, and you just have to spend like a whole week to figure out what all of them do. But with this, it was super intuitive and took me all of like 5 minutes to get it adjusted the way I wanted. So with this, you get the standard height adjustment, which uses this interesting joystick design. Doesn't really change the functionality at all, it's just unique. Also tilt limiter, which basically just locks it in at 90 degrees or lets you lean back. A seat pan depth adjustment, which was really cool. The seat fabric basically just curls under the chair like a tongue, and you can extend it or retract it to whatever length you want. This is a feature that you usually only see in like higher end car seats, so it's really cool that this chair has that. And it actually makes a bigger difference than you might think. There's also tilt tension adjustment, which basically just allows you to adjust the amount of force that the backrest springs back into place. And lastly, there is the armrest adjustment, which is probably my least favorite part about this chair. You can move them up, down, in, or out, but not forward or back, which you would probably expect from a chair of this price point. To move it up and down, you just press these buttons on the bottom of the armrest and then push it up or down. Super intuitive, I like that part. But the in and out adjustment is just super clunky and I really don't like it. Like the force that you need to adjust the armrest is both too much and too little at the same time. Like there's no lock, all you have to do is push it in or out and it'll move. But the force required is so much that it's really hard to get like precise one-click adjustments. I often overshoot it and do like 2 or 3, but the force is also so little that if you try to pull this chair by the armrests on a carpeted surface, then it's gonna adjust itself. And it's also really hard to get them back into place because of what I just mentioned. It's really not that big of a deal. The armrests themselves are pretty comfortable, they're a firm foam, but I just feel like they could have done a much better job on the armrest adjustments. Anyways, moving on, let's talk about this crazy, insane looking seat back. They're calling it the Posture Fit Spinal Support System, and basically it has all of these independently flexing arms that can move to support your back where you need it. And all of those arms are attached to this flat piece of plastic that has all of these flex screws cut into it, which can basically flex to conform to your back. And that whole pixelated support system is attached to this backbone that really looks like a human spine in terms of like the curvature. And basically all of that is just to encourage movement in the chair without sacrificing support. And you can really feel this back support system working if you just kind of lean back in the chair and then slowly tighten the tilt tension knob. You know, obviously you're gonna feel the backrest kind of pushing against your back, but because there's all of those different flexing arms, it just feels like the backrest is slowly hugging you, and it's pretty incredible. And because it can flex to conform to your back, it really does a good job at relieving pressure points and supports all parts of your back pretty equally. And also because of the way that they shaped it, it actually encourages good posture as well. Herman Miller makes a pretty big deal about this, but like I said, the curvature of that backbone is shaped like a human spine, and they said they modeled this curvature after what is like optimal sitting posture. And I believe it because when I sit back in this chair, I really do feel like it's encouraging me to sit up straighter, and I really just have less back pain because of it. So overall, this backrest is truly incredible, and it's one thing for me to kind of try to explain it to you over the internet, but you really won't know what I'm talking about until you just try it. And side note, you may have noticed that there is no like lumbar support, and the reason for that is just you really don't need it. The way that the backrest curves and mimics the human spine is your lumbar support. The only con I can think of is that people tend to complain a lot about the noise of this backrest because there are a lot of moving parts. And in my experience, yes, there is some noise and it can get pretty loud, but you really have to be putting some weight into it for any noise to appear. Like I'll put in a sound test, but you really have to be like leaning back and flexing quite a lot before any noise starts to show itself. Like if you're just sitting and working like a normal human being, then you're not going to hear any noise and it's not going to bother you. It's just when you're kind of leaning back and doing a lot of stretches, you're going to start to hear a lot of like creaking and that sort of thing. So for me personally, this is like a non-issue, but if that will really bother you, you know, maybe that's something to think about. Okay, next let's talk about the seat bottom. And of course, Herman Miller couldn't go with anything traditional for this either. While most chairs just have like a big slab of foam on the bottom, this has fabric on top of foam, on top of suspension, on top of springs, on top of more suspension. And the result is something pretty amazing. Like I know this is going to sound pretty cliche, but this seat bottom makes me feel like almost weightless. Like, you know how with a more traditional seat bottom, you can feel the seat kind of pushing back up on you when you sit down on it? With this chair, it distributes the force so evenly that it almost feels like it's not pushing back up on you at all. And normally that type of pressure relief is associated with kind of softer chairs, but also with those softer chairs, you usually end up kind of like sinking into them and eventually bottoming out. But with this one, since it's fundamentally a suspension system, it's always going to stay bouncy and you're never going to get that feeling that you're really like sinking into the chair. And just like the back support, you feel no pressure points whatsoever. And I also really like just how big the seat bottom is, along with how there's no like harsh edges. So if you want to like widen your stance a little bit or sit cross-legged, you can do all of that with no discomfort. I find this chair to be extremely comfortable. I find that I can sit in this chair for way longer, like maybe 2 to 3 times as long as any other chair I've tried, before I start to feel any discomfort in my back or my bottom. So I think if you want a comfortable ergonomic gaming chair, or really just a chair for any kind of desk use, and price is not an issue, then yeah, get this chair. It's amazing. But sadly for most of us, price is a huge factor, and this chair costs $1,500. And any way you look at it, that is insanely expensive for a chair. And I'm not going to try to sit here and tell you that's not a lot of money, but let me try to make a case for why, even though it's a lot of money, it might be worth it. So first of all is durability. Herman Miller is known for making chairs that just last. At the start of this video, I mentioned their Aeron chairs, and a lot of people are using those chairs for like 30 plus years. And just feeling this chair, you can tell that everything is quality and it's not going to break down anytime soon. And Herman Miller is so confident in their build quality that they have a 12-year warranty on any chair that they sell. And it's not just one of those warranties where they got you covered. I've heard that they actually do a great job of taking care of their customers. So let's say, like, worst case scenario, you buy this chair and then 12 years and 1 day later it breaks. Now I don't think that's going to happen because, like I said, they're known for producing chairs that last like 30 plus years. But in that scenario, you're going to be spending like a little over $100 a year on this chair, which granted is still probably more than most people will be willing to spend on office chairs in a year. But I feel like this chair is likely to last much longer than that. And the real value in this chair comes from the ergonomic benefits. Like, you really can't put a price on health, and if I can avoid back pain and visits to the doctor because of that, then I will gladly pay the price of this chair. Plus, if you think about it, $1,500 is the price of like a 15-second visit with a doctor, at least in the US, so just food for thought. Also, because these chairs are so durable, there is actually a pretty robust used market for them. Now, you may not necessarily be able to find one of these gaming versions because they're so new. You will be able to find the regular Embodies for about $1,000 on the used market. And if you buy one of these and want to sell it down the line for whatever reason, then you can be pretty sure that you're going to be able to fetch a pretty good price for it. So at the end of the day, do I recommend this chair? And you can probably tell from the tone of this video, yes, I do. And I know the price is a very hard pill to swallow, but I feel like the benefits of durability and ergonomics that I just mentioned make this chair well worth its price, especially if you can find one used. Plus, it just looks cool. Like, come on. Anyways, that's it for this one. I will be doing an update video on this chair once I've been able to spend a little bit more significant time with it. So if you guys have any questions about this chair, then just put it in the comment section down below, and I'll either answer it now, or if it's something that will take a little bit more testing, I'll address it in my next video. Remember to smash that like button, and if you enjoy content like this, think about subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss anything. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!